The old man's body suddenly emitted a series of loud thuds, his expression contorted as if enduring unimaginable pain. Blood flowed from all 7 orifices, and his body trembled violently under the influence of the body immobilization art. In just a moment, the pain caused the body stabilization art to weaken slightly, turning the old man's suffering into shrill, desperate screams. He tried to break free from Wang Lin's grip, but no matter how he struggled, Wang Lin's right hand remained as unyielding as a mountain, firmly gripping the old man's crown of the head, leaving him no chance to escape. The shrill, tortured howls made the old man sweat profusely, his eyes showing a hopeless expression, and his face turned deathly pale. You have committed the crime of deicide. You will not die a good death. I am a warrior immortal under the command of the immortal Venerable, and I carry the bloodline of immortals. You kill me today, and you will face calamity in the future. Enough with your nonsense. Wang Lin's expression remained calm as his right hand tightened, and his divine sense surged once more into the old man's body, entering his sea of consciousness as he sought to extract all of his memories. At the same time that Wang Lin's divine sense entered the old man's memories, deep within the ancient immortal domain, at the center of many statues scattered across the land, for towering statues of the 3 ancient celestial clans stood tall. The surroundings were silent, as if it had always been this way since ancient times. At this moment, a hoarse voice echoed from one of the statues. Vermilion bird, your descendants' cultivation is not weak, but you are too overconfident if you think you can search the memories of a warrior immortal. While warrior immortals may not be as strong as us, they possess the bloodline of immortals. How could such a lowly descendant like you hope to search their memories? The voice carried mockery and slowly rose. He has survived the 3rd step of heavenly tribulation and even extracted his fate from the 9th son of the tribulation. Such feats are unbelievable, but he has done it. White Tiger, you mock him, but could you, as a cultivator of the lower realm, achieve the same? A cold snort followed, and an ancient voice came from another statue. If it were me, I might not be unable to do so. As immortals, we have the immortal Venerable seal on our memories, a blessing granted only to the core disciples of the 7 Paths sect. I'm not surprised that this little ant was able to kill the warrior immortal who was recovering from injuries. But mark my words, if he attempts to break the immortal Venerable seal, he is courting death. The voice that had previously mocked now sneered. Enough, why fight over him? Vermilion bird, your descendant was indeed overconfident. If he dies under the immortal Venerable seal, will it affect your plan? A third voice, coming from another statue, spoke with a calm tone. He was never part of my plan. I'm also surprised that he was the first to arrive here. After a long silence, Vermilion bird's voice sounded, faintly rising. This child is extraordinary. He is the first rebellious cultivator of the 3rd step I've ever seen. It's a pity that he is from the lower realm. If he were in my immortal firmament continent, he would surely become famous. But he should not have attempted to search the soul. The immortal Venerable seal cannot be broken even if we all join forces. If he tries, he will be dead in less than half an incense stick of time. What a pity. The 4th voice came from another statue, filled with regret. The voices of the 4 gradually faded, returning to silence. Even Vermilion bird sighed inwardly. He knew Wang Lin, and while he understood the other's abilities, he did not believe Wang Lin could break the immortal Venerable seal. Inside the old man's sea of consciousness, his divine sense had already formed its own realm, tightly sealed from the outside, creating a dense fog that blocked Wang Lin's divine sense from entering. This situation was not the first time Wang Lin had encountered it. When he once searched the memory of the woman in silver, he had also faced a similar situation, with the 7-colored statue appearing in the fog that sealed the memories. Today, within this dry, old man's sea of consciousness, Wang Lin once again saw the dense fog. His divine sense paused slightly but quickly gathered, and with that, Wang Lin's figure materialized outside the fog surrounding the old man's sea of consciousness. This scene was eerie. In the vast and ancient sky of the ancient immortal domain, Wang Lin stood with his eyes closed, his right hand pressing firmly on the old man's crown of the head, who continued to tremble and scream in agony. However, Inside the sea of consciousness, Wang Lin's divine sense gathered and transformed into his essence spirit, appearing just outside the fog of the old man's sea of consciousness. In the form of his essence spirit, he wore the same white robes as his physical form, his hair as white as snow. He stood there, looking at the swirling fog before him. This fog contained an indescribable oppressive force, as if it was a seal. With this seal in place, it could block all soul search techniques. The woman in silver had such a seal, and now this dry old man does as well. Interesting. It seems that all immortals under the command of the immortal Venerable have such seals. Wang Lin's gaze flickered, and his eyes gradually shone with a sharp gleam. When he was younger and lacked the strength, he had given up when the silver-clad woman's divine sense retreated. Aside from his insufficient cultivation, there was another reason. If he had forced his way through, regardless of success or failure, it would have caused tremendous harm to the silver-clad woman. But the emaciated elder before him would not cause Wang Lin the slightest sense of guilt. Despite having no personal enmity with him, the elder was guilty beyond redemption. Had Wang Lin encountered him without knowing that the inner and outer realms were merely part of a cave mansion, Wang Lin would not have killed him. Now, however, Wang Lin understood everything. He harbored an indescribable hatred for the immortal Venerable of this cave mansion and all the immortals under his command. The disappearance of Li Muin's fate aura made Wang Lin's hatred reach its peak. With a cold snort, Wang Lin stepped toward the mist inside the elder's sea of consciousness. His figure moved like a meteor, approaching in an instant with a thunderous roar. His right hand raised and struck forward violently, summoning a wild wind that suddenly appeared and transformed into a storm, charging toward the mist. The wind swirled, tearing through the mist, and in a flash, a gap appeared right before Wang Lin. Without hesitation, he stepped into the opening, vanishing into the mist. Inside the mist, Wang Lin advanced rapidly. The mist parted before him as if forming a path. As he continued forward, he gradually delved deeper into the mist. The moment he entered the deeper part of the mist, suddenly, seven-colored light flashed ahead. The radiant hues stood out starkly against the pitch-black mist, blinding Wang Lin and causing him to narrow his eyes. Looking toward the source, he saw, within the faint mist pierced by the seven-colored light, a middle-aged man sitting cross-legged. His eyes were closed, and his body was surrounded by swirling seven-colored light. Just sitting there, an immense aura of pressure radiated from him, shaking the spirits of all living beings around him, rendering them unable to take a single step. This seven-colored man was not the one Wang Lin had met in the Xun'er Rainbow Realm. No, he was the true form of the seven-colored statue from Wang Lin's storage crack. This was the second time Wang Lin had seen him. After a brief silence, cold light flashed in his eyes. Without a second thought, he took a step forward. His right hand raised, and with a quick gesture, the elder's sea of consciousness rumbled violently. A massive palm imprint appeared before Wang Lin. With a swing, the imprint shot forward, tearing through the mist and heading straight for the cross-legged middle-aged man. This man was nothing but a seal preventing anyone from searching the immortals under his command. The massive palm imprint, roaring through the air, neared the middle-aged man's front in an instant. It passed through his body, but at the moment of passing, the imprint collapsed silently. This scene was incredibly strange. Upon closer inspection, one could clearly see that the imprint never actually touched the man. It disintegrated just 3 inches outside his body. Wang Lin's eyes narrowed. At the moment the imprint shattered, he raised his right hand and pointed forward. A wave of air shot out from his fingertip, swirling into a vortex. It rushed forward, and once again, Wang Lin observed closely. The whirlpool of air also collapsed 3 inches from the middle-aged man's body without a sound. Wang Lin stared at the man. With a flick of his sleeve, he stepped forward and personally approached. Raising his right hand, his fingers formed a sword, and the ancient god star mark on his forehead began to spin. A vast force of ancient god power fused into his fingers, making them capable of shattering the earth itself, enough to destroy a cultivation star. With this immense power, his fingers closed in with a deafening rumble. In a blink, he was 3 inches away from the middle-aged man. The moment his fingers crossed that 3-inch boundary, Wang Lin's eyes gleamed. He saw his fingers disintegrating at an unimaginable rate. The collapse was pain-free, yet it was evident that the fingers were falling apart. In the blink of an eye, nearly half of the fingers that had reached 3 inches disintegrated. That 3-inch threshold acted as a boundary, making all power dissipate completely upon reaching it. If he were to push forward, his right hand would vanish entirely before it even made contact with the middle-aged man. Wang Lin's eyes sharpened, and he swiftly pulled his hand back. Taking a few steps back, his expression calm, he glanced at the middle-aged man who was still cross-legged with closed eyes, then looked down at his own fingers, which had lost half their length, though there were no visible wounds. Such strange power, Wang Lin muttered. The ancient god power within him circulated, and his fingers slowly regenerated as the flesh and blood stirred. After a brief hesitation, Wang Lin considered the seal formed by the middle-aged man's figure. It would be difficult to extract the elder's memories with this seal in place, but it was not impossible. The memory of this emaciated old man. Was it enough to make Wang Lin go to any lengths to obtain it? As he stood in silence, many images flashed through his mind. All of them were moments of doubt he had held throughout his life about this world, until the final image froze at that moment, when he finally confirmed that the world he inhabited was nothing more than a cave dwelling. I want to know the reason behind all of this, the truth of this cave dwelling from back then. Wang Lin's eyes revealed determination. He closed his eyes, and after a moment, he suddenly opened them again. The 7 ancient god star marks on his forehead began to spin rapidly. In his left and right eyes, the ancient fiend and ancient demon star marks also began to move, eventually transforming into a sea of starlight that enveloped his entire body. The power of the ancient god, ancient demon, and ancient fiend filled Wang Lin's body at a rapid pace, causing his essence spirit to feel as though it was becoming solid, distorting in strange ways. Gradually, a phantom of an ancient god appeared behind him. To its left, a shadow of the ancient demon materialized, and to its right, the image of the ancient fiend appeared. For the first time, the 3 ancient clans appeared simultaneously behind Wang Lin. This meant that within his essence spirit, the powers of the 3 clans were now howling and wandering, and behind these 3 figures, a massive Tao ancient head loomed. The Tao ancient head stretched across the heavens and earth. After it appeared, Wang Lin's essence spirit began to expand rapidly. However, before it could fully expand, Wang Lin began to compress it, forcing his body to rumble with intense sounds. After a long time, under Wang Lin's firm suppression, his body remained the same size, but it contained the terrifying power of the ancient clans within. Under the weight of this power, Wang Lin's body's recovery ability reached a terrifying level, but he was still unsatisfied. In his analysis, such regenerative power wouldn't be able to overcome the 3-inch limit of the middle-aged man's body. With a low growl, Wang Lin gathered all the ancient clan power into his right hand, focusing it into his index finger. At that moment, his right index finger emanated an overwhelming aura that vibrated through his sea of consciousness, as well as shaking the entire ancient immortal domain. This aura made the finger seem like the indestructible finger. This was the 7th technique Wang Lin had comprehended during his Dream Dao journey, aside from his original divine powers, the indestructible finger of the ancient clan. The indestructible finger of the ancient clan condensed all the powers of the 3 ancient clans in Wang Lin's Dao ancient inheritance. It possessed both incredibly powerful offensive abilities and terrifying regenerative power. This regenerative power, which Wang Lin referred to as indestructible, was enough to describe the speed of recovery. True, indestructibility only occurs when the recovery power reaches a peak, where no destruction from the heavens or earth can stop it. In other words, countless destructions cannot outpace its regeneration. Only then can the term indestructible be used. With Wang Lin's current cultivation, he still couldn't make his entire body indestructible. He could only make one finger truly heavenly destruction, earthly destruction, indestructible finger. This indestructible finger of the ancient clan was a divine technique that Wang Lin had realized after sensing the immortal indestructible body. It was created through the power of the ancient clan and didn't require immortal power, yet its effect was just as formidable as the true immortal indestructible body. With one finger, Wang Lin fixed his gaze on the middle-aged man sitting cross-legged not far away, watching the rainbow light encircling his body. His eyes flashed with cold light, and he took a step forward. His right index finger, now imbued with the indestructible power, shot forward, aiming directly at the middle-aged man's forehead. This strike seemed slow, but in reality, it was as fast as lightning, closing the distance in an instant. Just as it was about to enter the 3-inch space around the middle-aged man's body, Wang Lin's finger immediately shattered, rapidly disintegrating at a terrifying speed. Had it been before, this disintegration would have been irreversible. No force, no substance, could enter within the 3-inch space of the middle-aged man's body. But now, Wang Lin's finger, while rapidly disintegrating, was also recovering at an alarming rate. The speed of recovery was extremely evident in the midst of the collapse, as one could clearly see that his finger was reforming as it disintegrated. 3 inches was a very short distance, but for Wang Lin, it was an eternity. In the constant collapse, his finger was recovering at a frenzied pace, endlessly cycling. The deeper Wang Lin's finger pressed into the middle-aged man's body, the more violent the disintegration became. In the blink of an eye, there were hundreds of thousands, even millions, of collapses, but at the same time, the recovery of the indestructible finger was also repeated hundreds of thousands, even millions, of times. This was the indestructible finger. Such recovery speed could no longer be described by ordinary divine techniques. It was an eerie technique that shouldn't exist in this world. The deeper it went, the more terrifying the collapse became. When Wang Lin's finger finally reached the 3-inch limit, just about to touch the middle-aged man's forehead, the degree of collapse was indescribable. Until the very end, Wang Lin's finger, empowered by his recovery force, gradually accelerated, ultimately surpassing the speed of collapse. As a result, his finger completely solidified, ignoring the terrifying force of breakdown, and sharply pointed at the middle-aged man seated in the lotus position, right between his brows. A deafening roar that seemed to shake the heavens erupted, accompanied by the thunderous sound that reverberated in the sea of consciousness of the emaciated elder. This was a force capable of destroying the entire starry sky, unleashed as Wang Lin's finger collided with the middle-aged man's brow. The roaring thunder shook all directions, and the mist where Wang Lin's soul resided immediately collapsed, swiftly scattering in all directions. Along with this destruction, the sea of consciousness of the emaciated elder also collapsed, sending shockwaves through his entire body. It was as though countless bolts of heavenly lightning exploded within him, causing his body to tremble and shatter. The middle-aged man, seated with a 7-colored glow emanating from him, had his spirit jolted. Under the impact of this formidable force, his body twisted and slowly began to dissipate. As his form faded, a pale golden crystal, about the size of a fist, appeared within the collapsing sea of consciousness. Cracks began to form across its surface with a sharp sound, and it looked like it was about to shatter. This crystal was the lifetime memory of the emaciated elder. The seal was so domineering that it not only prevented others from probing the memory, but also shattered it upon dispersing, preventing any searcher from retrieving it. His plan was remarkably clever, but unfortunately, he encountered Wang Lin. Not only did Wang Lin possess the ancient clan's indestructible finger, capable of shattering the seal with indomitable power, but he also had the spirit stabilization art. At this crucial moment, without hesitation, Wang Lin extended his right index finger towards the collapsing memory crystal. Freeze. With the word freeze, the collapsing crystal halted immediately. In that instant, Wang Lin's soul swept forward, directly enveloping the memory crystal. With a flash, his soul broke through the crumbling sea of consciousness of the emaciated elder and returned to his physical body in the ancient immortal domain. The moment his soul settled back into place, Wang Lin opened his eyes. He raised his trembling right hand from the head of the emaciated elder, stepping back several paces. As he did, the elder's scream reached its peak. His body began to collapse from the inside out. The power from his sea of consciousness destroyed his soul, shattered his bones, and ripped through his flesh, causing him to explode. In that terrifying roar, The elder's body shattered into pieces, dispersing into blood and flesh. Simultaneously, a violent shockwave surged in all directions. The impact of this shockwave destroyed the surrounding statues that Wang Lin hadn't yet shattered. Some statues even contained sleeping immortal healers, who perished in agony without even opening their eyes. This shockwave was the result of the collision between Wang Lin's ancient clan's indestructible power and immortal bloodline power, combined with the sealing power of the seven-colored statue man. The resulting destructive force could shake the heavens. As the elder's body exploded, a voice of disbelief and shock echoed from deep within the towering statues in the ancient immortal domain. It's impossible. How did he do it? How did he break the immortal Venerable's seal? That 3-inch seal could destroy all power and matter. No force could possibly harm it. All divine arts would shatter before it. How could he break such a seal? Even if we joined forces at our peak, we could never break it. A white-haired elder stepped out of the statue vortex, his face full of shock. The other 3 statues also reacted with astonishment. Throughout history, the immortal Venerable's seal has never been broken. Even the other great Venerables from the immortal firmament continent would find it incredibly difficult. After all, this seal was created by the immortal Venerable himself, a secret ultimate technique protected by our 7 Paths sect's core disciples. He's just a cultivator from the lower realms. How could he break it? Another statue, belonging to the black tortoise, revealed a shocked and disbelieving expression. If he hadn't personally probed with his divine sense, he would never have believed it. This person is extraordinary. We must change our plan. He can break the immortal Venerable's seal, and certainly has astonishing divine powers. Such powers would shock even the immortal firmament continent. A third elder, appearing from the statue vortex, looked off into the distance and took a deep breath. The vermilion bird statue remained silent, its gaze shifting between the heavens and earth, its expression full of uncertainty. Where Wang Lin stood, with the collapse of the emaciated old man and the shockwave sweeping through, Wang Lin immediately retreated. His expression remained unchanged as he subtly looked ahead, his lips curling into a cold smile. They could see him, but similarly, Wang Lin had already sensed the presence of those 4 individuals long ago. With a sweeping motion centered on this place, a vast area of several million miles turned into ruins in an instant. The deafening roar continued, slowly dissipating into the distance, leaving only the distant thunderous sound, like rolling thunder, echoing far away. Wang Lin stood in midair, gazing down at the land turned to ruins, dust rising in waves, looking like a dust storm that enveloped the earth, making the ground seem submerged in dust. His white hair fluttered, and his clothes whipped in the wind, but his expression remained extremely calm, revealing the demeanor of a third-step ethereal stage master, an air of a grandmaster of an entire generation. He raised his right hand, and a faint golden crystal with countless fine cracks appeared in his palm. This crystal contained the memories of the emaciated old man's entire life. However, these memories could not be viewed with spiritual sense. Even if Wang Lin's cultivation were higher, he still wouldn't be able to see the old man's life memories from this crystal. Immortal memories could only be accessed by those with immortal bloodline power. This was a restriction, a kind of subtle limit. Even Wang Lin, being from the ancient clan, couldn't view it. Alternatively, it could be seen as a difference in levels, like how an ant, even with the memory of an elephant, couldn't understand it. But Wang Lin was different. In the center of his forehead was a drop of golden blood, transformed from the immortal indestructible body, containing immortal bloodline power so pure that even on the immortal firmament continent, it was extremely rare. With this blood, Wang Lin could read the memories like flipping through a book. A golden light shone from his forehead, and the golden blood emerged. Wang Lin pressed the memory crystal slowly to his forehead and closed his eyes. As his eyes closed, Wang Lin seemed to enter a fantastical world. He saw an unfamiliar continent, vast and expansive. Even the memory's owner had never reached the end of this continent in his lifetime. The farthest he had traveled was equivalent to several inner and outer realms combined. Yet compared to this vast continent, it was nothing, not even 1 in 10,000. On this continent, The most dazzling feature was the 9 suns high in the sky. These 9 suns radiated endless light, covering the vast land below. As Wang Lin absorbed the old man's memories and saw the 9 suns, he recalled a long-held legend from this continent. The legend said that the 9 suns in the immortal firmament continent were 9 celestial palaces, each representing one of the 9 supreme heavenly venerables of this land. Even the old man's master, the one with the 7-colored statue, hadn't reached this level. The legend further stated that 9 was the limit. If one day a 10th sun were to appear in the immortal firmament continent, an immeasurable calamity would befall the world. The old man had been born on this vast continent. As he grew, he joined a sect. The sect was called the Seven Paths Sect. The sect leader of the Seven Paths Sect was a pair of Tao companions, one of whom was the one with the 7-colored statue, known as the Rainbow Immortal Venerable on this continent. His cultivation was unfathomable, and he founded the sect, gathering countless disciples. Throughout its millennia of existence, the Seven Paths Sect had faced many crises, all of which were resolved by this Tao couple. Over time, they gained great prestige in this region. As the years passed, the old man, the owner of this memory, eventually became a 100th-tier immortal under the Rainbow Immortal Venerable, becoming a powerful figure within the Seven Paths Sect. Second only to the 4 great war generals, Vermilion Bird, Black Tortoise, Azure Dragon, and White Tiger. He held high status and power in the Seven Paths Sect, with access to various cultivation techniques and Tao spirit elixirs. Until one day, in the old man's memory, that fateful night, a dazzling beam of light erupted outside the Seven Paths Sect, and with the appearance of this light, an overwhelming pressure, one so great it made even him tremble, spread across the land, enveloping all directions. Under this pressure, 2 suns, which should not have appeared at night, suddenly appeared. The 2 suns glowed endlessly, and the old man, trembling, vividly recalled the rumors about what these suns represented. In the midst of this immense fear, he heard the thunderous roars that made his 7 orifices bleed. His spirit shook, and he collapsed into unconsciousness. Before he fainted, he felt the Rainbow Immortal Venerable and his Tao companions rush out of the Seven Paths Sect, heading toward the distant place where the light shone, and the 2 suns appeared. Several days passed before the old man finally regained consciousness. But upon waking, he bitterly realized that his cultivation had dropped by several tiers. Months later, the Seven Paths Sect master returned alone. Though his expression was gloomy, his eyes shone with extraordinary brightness. After his return, this Rainbow Immortal Venerable never once mentioned why his Tao companion hadn't come back. Instead, accompanied by his disciples, several immortal consorts, the 100 guards, and the 4 war generals, he entered his cave mansion. There, he sealed it shut entirely. Layer after layer of sealing imprints were etched into place. He even brought out several magical artifacts the owner of the memory had never seen before, using them to fortify the seal. At this point, the memory, perhaps due to the dense network of fine cracks on the crystal, became fragmented. Only scattered shards of recollection remained, disconnected from one another. Still, within one of these fragments, Wang Lin saw a woman. She wore silver robes and was one of the Immortal Venerable's personal attendants. Wang Lin recognized her. The instant he saw her, memories from the past began falling into place in his mind. This was the same silver-robed female corpse in his storage space, the one that had feared the rainbow statue. In another memory shard, Wang Lin saw the Rainbow Immortal Venerable himself, known across the inner and outer realms as the Ancient Immortal Emperor, the Ancient Immortal Venerable. He was, without a doubt, the figure from the rainbow statue. Inside the cave mansion, after sealing off both entrance and exit, he quickly departed. No one knew what he was working on within, but though the immortal consorts, the 100 guards, and the 4 war generals were all confused, none dared to question him due to his overwhelming presence. Each went off in search of a secluded spot to cultivate, quietly awaiting the Immortal Venerable's summons. Then, one day, a chilling voice rang out from beyond the cave mansion, startling the memory's owner from his cultivation breathing. Rainbow Tao Venerable. You could even abandon your Tao companion. It must have been for some tremendous creation treasure. You left clues to lure me here alone. Well then, I shall see what schemes you're playing at." The old man didn't recognize the voice, but the pressure behind it was immense. His heart pounded as he opened his eyes, face darkening. Yet what he heard next nearly sent him into utter shock. "Dao Gu Yemal, I invited you here, yet you accuse me of scheming? Why don't you come see for yourself whether this is a trap or not?" The name Dao Gu Yemal thundered in the memory owner's ears. A great venerable of an ancient kingdom, Dao Gu Yemal was a name of great renown. What happened next was lost in another rupture of memory. Wang Lin saw nothing further. Only the last fragment remained. In that final shard, a chaotic battle was unfolding. Everything was blurry. He couldn't make out who was involved. All he could see was that the 100 guards, the 4 war generals, and several immortal consorts were attacking 3 figures. Those 3 were completely obscured, shrouded in blinding golden light. The battle dragged on for a long time amidst immense slaughter, until finally, one of the 3 emerged, laughing madly under the glow of gold. With a single step, he swept away the disciples of the 7 Paths sect in front of him and charged toward a stone gate. "I have come personally. Rainbow Venerable, you insignificant being. Why haven't you come out to kneel before me?" His laughter echoed, and when it entered Wang Lin's ears, his heart trembled violently. At the moment he neared the stone gate, an earth-shattering roar erupted from within it, and the memory ended completely. Wang Lin's eyes snapped open. The memory crystal beneath his right palm, pressed against his brow, shattered into powder and scattered on the wind. That was the madman's voice. Wang Lin took a deep breath. His divine sense entered his storage space, where he saw the madman still fast asleep, a silly smile on his face. In silence, Wang Lin's expression darkened. The memories he had just seen unraveled many of his doubts, but in doing so, they also gave rise to even deeper confusion. "I know something about Dao Gu Yemal. I had some speculation about the madman's appearance. And now, combined with what that silver-robed woman once said, that she wasn't the one who opened the gate. Could it be the gate she referred to was the very one the madman came through? The result of that great battle, the madman lost his mind and descended into madness. The ancient immortal domain became a ruin. The remnants of the 7 Paths sect went into seclusion one by one. The owner of this cave mansion, the Rainbow Immortal Venerable, the sect master of the 7 Paths sect, he, too, was gravely wounded. But is this truly the whole story? If it is, then what they fought over might have been the so-called path of the heavens, or perhaps the heaven-defying. The heaven-defying is an item from a Tao artifact compass. It's unlikely to be the path of the heavens. Then what is it really? Where did it come from? Wang Lin furrowed his brows, his gaze flickering. And then there's what I learned from the Lightning Thunder clan. That sometime after the great battle, a group of mysterious cultivators from beyond the realm appeared. That Kunji whip was one of their magical artifacts. This group of people. Who are they? Wang Lin had a faint feeling that he had just lifted a mysterious veil, and the final answer to the events that happened countless years ago was drawing closer. In reality, he had sensed these 4 auras the moment he entered the ancient immortal domain. The reason he came here was not only to destroy the statues one by one, but also to meet someone familiar within these 4 auras. He already understood some things in his heart. He was here to find that familiar person and make a deal. Taking a step forward, Wang Lin moved deeper into the ancient immortal domain. He hurried along, and after traveling several million miles, he flicked his sleeves. The wind howled as a storm roared to life, rushing toward the remaining statues of the 3 ancient clans scattered across a vast area. The thunderous sounds echoed, and one by one, the statues collapsed. Wang Lin did not pause. His face remained dark as he pressed forward. As the statues of the ancient clans crumbled, some injured immortals inside them quickly transformed and retreated. In the blink of an eye, 7 or 8 immortal figures materialized in the distance around Wang Lin. Each of them radiated golden light. Their eyes filled with rage as they stared at Wang Lin, but none of them spoke. Wang Lin didn't even glance at them. These people might have been powerful once, but now, they didn't interest him in the slightest. Especially considering how difficult it had been to search for memories. Wang Lin gave up on soul search altogether and allowed these immortals to follow him from a distance. However, if anyone dared to attack him, Wang Lin wouldn't hesitate to strike down an immortal. In fact, he hadn't killed enough yet. If not for a certain plan in his heart, these people would have no chance of survival in front of him. As he continued forward, four gigantic statues appeared ahead. These statues were as tall as the sky, resembling four towering mountains from a distance. Behind these four statues stood an endless number of statues of the three ancient clans, stretching as far as the eye could see. Within the foreheads of the four enormous statues, each one contained a swirling vortex, slowly rotating. Wang Lin's gaze swept across, and he immediately sensed four incredibly domineering auras within these vortices. Among them, Wang Lin was particularly familiar with one of the auras. It came from the vermilion bird. This aura felt like the ancestor of the vermilion bird, reminding Wang Lin of the feeling he had when he saw the vermilion bird of the past in the Fall Land. Vermilion bird. Wang Lin's eyes narrowed. The aura from the vermilion bird in the Fall Land and the one emanating from the statue in front of him were almost identical. Wang Lin fell silent, having already deduced that one of these two auras must belong to a clone. Vermilion bird general under the command of the seven colors Immortal Venerable. Come out and meet me. Wang Lin halted his steps and floated in midair, speaking slowly and calmly, his voice echoing in all directions. As he stood there, a vast and mighty aura descended, as if the very heavens and earth were subtly bending beneath his feet. Wang Lin's words echoed, and the surrounding area fell into silence. The 7 or 8 immortals who had followed him stopped at the same time, their eyes cold as they glared at him. You arrogant little brat, you've destroyed many embryos and killed several of my ancient immortals. As a descendant of the vermilion bird, your actions are a grave sin. A grim voice shattered the silence. One of the four statues, from the vortex in its forehead, materialized an old man wearing a white robe. His face was covered in wrinkles, and an ancient, weathered aura erupted with his appearance. With a single step, the old man left the statue's vortex and instantly charged at Wang Lin, his speed so fast that a howling wind followed in his wake. The sound of the wind was like the roar of a fierce tiger. As Wang Lin looked at him, a gigantic phantom, nearly as tall as the heavens themselves, appeared behind the old man. The phantom was none other than a massive white tiger. The tiger's eyes gleamed with murderous intent, and its aura reverberated through the heavens and earth, displaying the old man's formidable strength at the early profound void stage. Wang Lin's expression remained unchanged as he focused on the approaching old man. His right hand clenched, and he suddenly thrust forward with a mighty blow. The collision with the old man sent out a thunderous roar, the shockwaves spreading throughout the surroundings, shaking the very ground. In the end, with a powerful, ear-splitting crash, the white-haired old man staggered and retreated several steps, his eyes showing deep wariness. Wang Lin's body flickered, but he did not retreat. Instead, he calmly stared at the old man and spoke slowly. If your injuries were fully healed, you might be able to fight me, but right now, you're no match for me. Take one more step, and I'll kill you. Wang Lin's voice was soft, lacking the biting cold of the wind or any trace of murderous intent. It simply conveyed the fact, reaching the ears of the old man with white hair. The old man fell silent. The clash between the two earlier had been a mere test, yet it had deeply shaken his mind, filling him with even greater wariness. However, to retreat just because of a single sentence from the other party was something he couldn't do. Gritting his teeth, he was about to take a step forward. Just as he was about to move, Wang Lin's calm gaze swept over, locking eyes with the old man. In that moment, the old man's mind erupted once more. The foot he had lifted instinctively recoiled. The more calm Wang Lin appeared, the greater the pressure he exerted on the old man. I don't want to kill you. The ancient immortal domain seems to me no different from any other place. It's just a group of crippled cultivators from a mortal firmament continent, calling themselves immortals inside this cave mansion, controlling the so-called lower world ants you speak of. It's utterly laughable. In my eyes, you are no different from ants. The old man's expression darkened further. He wasn't surprised that Wang Lin knew. He had sensed Wang Lin searching the immortal's memories earlier. He had silently mocked the situation in his heart, thinking that with the seal of the Immortal Venerable, no one in this cave mansion could break it. What he hadn't anticipated was that Wang Lin actually managed to unlock the seal, seeing the memories of the immortal and learning so much about the place. This was the true source of the White Tiger General's deep apprehension. In fact, it was precisely because of this that an indescribable fear had started to rise in the old man's heart. Vermilion bird, come out and face me. Wang Lin did not look at the White Tiger General, but instead fixed his gaze on the second statue on the right side, focusing on the swirling vortex in its brow. He spoke slowly. This is the last time I will speak. Do not force me to kill and search souls. After speaking, Wang Lin stood there, quietly gazing at the sky. An invisible pressure began to emanate from his body, enveloping the surroundings and forming a powerful force.